I'll briefly introduce myself. I'm Paula Hodgson, working in the Educational Development Center, provide this type of learning workshop to staff. One of the topics that I've chosen is that about how to use software to help us to do thesis writing. My background was that I started my doctoral study back in year 2002. The one thing that I learned, that the key skills I felt very useful and valuable, is the use of the software. So I would like to share some of my experience with you so that you have a smooth journey if you are doing your thesis. And I want you just to talk to each other what stage you are in. If you are doing your research, are you just in the process of writing a proposal, or are you starting doing your own reading or doing your writing? And secondly, I want you to talk to each other about your experience, whether you have used any software or no, I haven't done anything with software. I just used Word, writing everything in the Word and then save in all the files. Or if some of you got some experience to use other things to help you to do your referencing, spend 1 minute. Talk to each other, please. Okay, now how many of you are going to do, in the process of writing a thesis? Please put up your hands. That just give me a sense what sort of stages are you in. Okay, how many of you have any experience to use software for referencing? 1 or 2. Okay, so this is a good experience for all of us to learn something new, right? Now, do you encounter any sort of difficulties when you write your references? And do you have any problems keep track of your references? You got references in here, there, a number of different files, you name it. It's all over the different places. And have you ever really tried to use the software to help you as you write and do the citation? Okay, I think this is something you might find this is a very good lesson for you. Let's see. Now, one thing is why we want to use the software. We can do it. We can still type all this information in by ourselves. And here are some comments from the examiners, if not the reviewers. If you submit papers for the conferences, you might find that these are some common comments or remarks. And one thing is, above of all these 5 types, only got one in the comment that I received. The comment is that my references is not up to date. Why? Because I did the study a few years ago and I haven't updated my references. So, given that I got this feedback, I update my references. But I have no troubles of getting enough references. I have no trouble have a consistent style because I use a software that helped me to have a consistency in referencing. And there is no messing up in terms of I got it in the content and missed out something at the bottom of the references. So I think it's very useful that we're going to use it. Now today, what we do is, because we only got, 1 hour and 15 minutes, we can only got through a very sort of key or overall ideas of the 2 software that I'm going to introduce it to you. We're not going through step by step how to do A, B to Z, right? So I make it clear to you. But what I want to achieve is that I hope by the end of this session, you have an idea why we choose RefWorks, or why we choose EndNote, or why we choose something else. Okay, so throughout this session, I want you to be aware of what the features are, what the functionalities are, and whether you might want to choose them. And of course, please do share any ideas with each other or with us, all right? Before I go into, hey, let's look at the software. Let's look at the writing process. Because the writing process, there are few key stages. The planning stage, drafting of the proposal, and then start collecting, the few data, and then start writing the paper. But when do we need to use the references? Now, just out from my mind, I said there are at least 10 steps that we'll need to consider when we start writing our thesis. First, we start reading. Even though we're not sure what research topic we want to do, we start to read, right? When we read, we go through the library, we might look at some of the books, we look at some of the e-journals in the library. And then not just piling up your office with books or printing out many references. You need to read them. Well, the third thing is, okay, I've read 10 books and 5 articles and da 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 da. Do you remember what you have read? So what we need to do is to start doing your annotation as you read. Once you start making notes or annotation on what you've read, you need to create a database. And what happens is, once you start reading, you got this book, that second, and the third book, and hang on, where's the references? What's the references? And do you want to go back to go back to the library and search the book again? You don't. You want to start building up a database so that you don't need to go back to the library to search back the references again. So you need to build this as you start your reading and writing. The next stage is, after you read quite a lot, you start to write. Or you start to write once you got some idea. Once you start writing, you might make reference to what you have read, what you have written. And at the same time, you start to make the reference in your draft paper. And of course, once you got the introduction, the research type topic, research methodology, you start to write the data, and then you write your findings and conclusion. But this is only a draft. You need to review it, edit it, before you submit it. So all these, I believe, are key steps as you do your paper, whether it's thesis or conference paper, book chapter, you name it. Okay, now this is the time we need to get our hands dirty. And as I said, you need to sign up, and I believe all of you are very good students. You have signed up, and you have an account. What we've gone through is that we start to do a search from the library and go through the steps, searching the references from the library, and then we import, or we call export it to the software. Because by doing so, you have a record of the references to yourself. And then we'll check how we organize all these references. I'll switch this off, and let's go to the internet. To access to the to RefWorks, there are 2 ways, or can be more than. One way is that you can basically type in the URL www.refworks and access to the software. This is a web-based bibliography organizing software. So what it means is every time you work through the access of the internet, it's a web-based. So now let's try it. Since you all got your account, let's try to access to the RefWorks first. Okay, let's log on with your own username and password. Now you may have a different view. No worry, because now I have already imported a lot of references in. For you, if this is the first time you log on, there's a page of instruction, the steps, how you can import files or create the files. But let me just go through very briefly what is in the RefWorks. Now we all got to this page. Now before I go into the search function, I'll show you. This is the references where we create new reference or import any data from the other applications. The second thing is about a search function which you can search the name, the title, or from all your database. The third is a viewer, which you can see what's in the folder. A folder is a collection of references under a category. And then the next one is the folder where you want to form them into different categories. Well, I'll do some exercise and show it what they mean, but let you know what this menu bar is about. So bibliography is a place where you're formatting your references in your Word file. And there's a list of tools where you can work on. So basically, you have an overall idea what RefWorks is. Okay. Now, what happens is if we want to search something from the library, let's go to search, online category, let's click it. It will bring you to the Hong Kong Polytechnic University, right? But just show you there are options to do the search and connect it to the library. And what we are doing is from the bibliography, the database, the online web-based references is linking to the PolyU library. Now, let's see, for example, if I'm searching the topic on assessment, or maybe for teaching, okay? So let's see what I get through the search of the internet or our library. You can type any other keywords and see what you get. Have you seen anything in your computer? Yes? Right? So the library, through this, it generates a list of references from the library. But before I move on, let's see, this is a list of the books. And if I scroll down, well, I might have thousands of references that's useful. But anyway, I'll look at the title first, and I think, okay, this one for me, teaching effectiveness is meaning assessment and improvement. It's good for me. So even though I may not have read the book, I can still mark it and then import it into database before I go to the library and book the book, okay? So I'll check this. And then on the top, there's a word import. So just click it. Are you sure? Yes, that's exactly what I want. Come on. Transfer the books, the information of the book to the database. So what it means is that this, I don't need to type in the title, the author name, anything. The information from the library will be extracted to the web-based RefWorks. It's that simple. And then maybe the next thing is I'll go to the library and borrow the book, right? This is one way that we can search through the RefWorks and search for a useful book, and then all this information will be imported to the RefWorks. Okay. What if we go through from the library? Can we search from the library first? Why do we need to search from the library instead through the system? Now here, when we search, we can have a macro search, and here's the list. These are the catalog, the books. What if I want to look for the e-journals? Can I get it here? So let's go to the library and see what happened. That's www.lib.polyu.edu.hk. Are we all there? Yes. Okay. So once we are in the library, should we check for an electronic journal? We all do that, don't we? Now, this time, as I said, you choose the references that's useful to you. I'm doing a demonstration related to education, as you know, I'm an educationist. Okay, you can choose any database. But I'm going through the electronic resources and then click database, databases. That will take us through a long list of databases, despite of whatever discipline you're in. Let's go to the indexes, indices, and abstracts. Now here, as I said, this is a long list of databases that you can access. For my case, I'm a teacher, educationist. I want to look at things related to the education. So there are some favorite references or databases I want to visit. One is called EBSCO. You can choose other database, all right? I'll scroll down and do the EBSCO. Because with EBSCO's host, there's a variety of references in accounting, business, economic, education, blah, 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 blah. So that's a big collection of things. So what I want to do now is to access to the database. When we do it here in PolyU, since we're all networked, it gets us straight to the database. But if you are doing anything at home, you like to work 2 o'clock in the morning, make sure you have a remote access to the internet for the library. And these instructions are all clear in the home page of the library. And make sure you install it so that you can work at your home and access to the library. Now, for example, now I choose this, and then I'll go into the database. Because there are so many sort of disciplines, I just select the one on Academic Search Premier and continue. And here is a list that I can type in author's name, title, keywords, you name it. Because I don't have any people's name in mind, I type in, let's say, assessment and teaching. See what I get from the e-database. It can appear in any field. I'll search. Now, earlier on, when I searched, I got a list of books from the library. This time, I go through the electronic journal database. I got, 40 from this search, which is good. Because sometimes when you search, you got 3,565, too many. You need to narrow it down. Now I got 40, but I need to select or see what I got from the search. I scroll down. As you can see, you got the title, the PolyU links, and some of them will have the PDF file, the full text attached. And let me scroll down, see if I see any other thing that might attract me. Okay, this one looks interesting. Not just the title, okay? It might be the title that I'm interested. The other thing that draws my attention is the cited references. It means a lot of people think this is a good article and worth citing for. So I think, maybe I want to read it as well. What I can do, one, you can download it because you got the full text there. Do you download this PDF in your computer? Some say yes, some say no. I do it partly because I don't really want to read in front of the screen. It's very tiring when you spend hours just reading in front of the screen. So what happens is they will ask you whether you want to read one page at a time or the entire document. Okay. Anyway, I say, you can just load me the first page. I'll read the first page and see whether I want to or not. Okay, once you have previewed all this and if you can decide to, you can save a copy in your computer. You can read it at your own time, you can print it out, or you can read it in screen. But I do have a habit, and that is to save a copy in my PC. So let's say if I'm saving it in my desktop, and let me get back. I've saved the copy. It means I'm interested to read it. But at the same time, I said we start to build up the database. Now, what can we do next? Let's click the reference. Here, for this database, it gives you more information about the keyword, about the abstract. You can read it here. Or you can go to here and then download the files at this page. But whatever you want to do, you want to keep the referencing. Now, this is a word that you must not miss. Export. You don't need to type anything. You just export it. But then this system will ask you, where and what type of referencing style you want to, or the software you want to use. You can either direct export to RefWorks, where PolyU has subscribed it for you. It means that you are free. You don't need to, it won't cost you anything. You just need to export it and access it at any time while you're still working or studying at PolyU. So it's free for you. Isn't it good? Yes. So that's something you want to choose and save. And before I click it, you notice there are other things that you can save it to. You can save it to or export it to EndNote or other software. But at the moment, let's do it to the RefWorks. As this is a web-based environment, everything you do, it takes seconds, right? Sometimes it depends on the speed of the internet. Sometimes it will stay longer, it takes longer, sometimes it's quick. But since this is a web-based bibliography system, it takes some time for every step that we do. Like now, we have to wait. So you have to be aware of, this is a free software for you, but at the same time, you have to depend on the speed of the internet. Whether you're doing it in PolyU, or whether you're working at home, or whether you're working in Shenzhen, Tianjin, Beijing, London, you name it. So every time if you want to access to the database, you have to go through the network. Okay? That's the things that you have to be aware of if you choose a web-based database. So let's see what happened. And once you connect to the RefWorks, it will ask you again, I know you're from PolyU. That's the system telling us. You're from PolyU. Yeah, I am. But you have to log on again to tell you this is me who is logging on and want to import this information. So can you understand this process? You just identify it, search it. Now you have to import it and ask you to log on again. So all these are little steps that you have to do before you import one single reference or a list of references. They still ask you to go through the same steps. Done. Now, the thing is, if they have done it, they will tell you it's done, the import work is successfully done. So you know it's there eventually. So now you might have your first reference in your database, right? And for me, because I have, as I said, have a number of references in, so what I want to do now is to view the last imports, which is the file or the e-journal. Here, what you can do is, well, because I searched through assessment, now I want to classify all the references in some kind of folder so that I can retrieve it at the right time. I don't need to search everything before I can look at them. One thing is that you can either open any folder that you have had or you create a new one. Now let me see what the sort of folder that I have. I have faculty development, I have unread. Okay, this one, I haven't read it yet. I can put it under unread folder, or I want to classify it under assessment. I mean, it's up to you whether you want to put it into the right folder at this point, okay? So I want to demonstrate if I want to create a folder called assessment, what I want to do now is to create new folder. I love it. Now, that's the frustration that you can have when you work with the internet. But that's how if you want to create a new folder, you click through that and it tells you that I want to create a new folder. So now this time it responds to me. I'll put an assessment as the name of the folder. And they tell you, yeah, you got it. So by creating a new folder, now I can put this and then put in under the folder of assessment. Are you sure? Yes. So that's how I organize my references. Okay? Now you search the references, you identify some of the things that you want to read, you want to import it, and then you want to organize it in a manner that you can easily retrieve it. Clear? Okay. Now we've gone through to have a brief understanding of what RefWorks is. And we've gone through the library and searched for the relevant information, and we have access to the RefWorks, and we imported. We've gone through all these steps. Okay. Now instead of me going to the site as you write, I'll put it at the later stage so that you can compare the two ways, the two processes of doing the editing. I'll go into the EndNotes. Okay, I'll do that part later on. With EndNotes, I know some of you have already installed in your computer, and that is you have the trial version. So what is a trial version? How many days can you work with the trial version? 30 days. Yes, and it starts to count down once you start using it. And every time when you start using it, it'll tell you only 29 days, 28 days, okay? So it just reminds you that you can use it freely for the time being. After the 30 days, you can still use it, but with a very limited capacity. If you read the README notes, you know that you can still use it, but every time you allow only 10 references in the database. You can try with your thesis, but you can allow, I think, another 10 references in your writing, and that's all. You can play with it. So if you want to use the software, you need to buy a license. And that's the difference between you using RefWorks and EndNote. EndNote costs you something. And when I first used EndNote back in 2002, I was using version 5. Okay? Guess what the version is now? What's X stand for? 10. It means now this is version 11. Every year they want to upgrade it in a certain manner. And the updated version will allow us to access to the resources in the internet as well. At the moment, when I'm doing the demonstration, I'll do what you can do with your PC first. Now, this time, I want you to do the online search. Remember, we just searched through the library system, and then we find and identify one thing, and then we select it and put it through the EndNote. Because you haven't got any references in your system, I want you to go through the search from the library and import one reference to your EndNote first. Okay? Right. Let's go to, I'll go to the library. Let's get back to one of the e-journals that you want to read and you are keen to keep a record of. And the same step is we want to export it, right? If I click, it will ask you what sort of references style that you want to whether you want to use RefWorks or other things. This time, I choose EndNote. And then I'll get it to, it's calling up the EndNote in your PC that you have installed. Now, I'm still using a trial version. There's 17 days left. Okay, there we go. But with this trial version, I have imported a number of old references that I have in, and I will call them into, we call these libraries. These are the terms they use. I have different libraries. This is a library for the faculty development things, and this is the library for my work integrated education. You know, different categories of references. I create a library of its own. So if you have a name that you want to call it, you can create a new one and then just type in the file name. But if I have an old library, I want to add more to in the current library, I just select, okay, this is the one that I want to add this to. So I click this one and add that reference to this library. Or you can create a new one, okay? So that's the process done. That's done, yes. Yes, that's the same name. You can call it the same, yeah. With RefWorks, you call folders. Here, I call it libraries. The library is a collection of the topics. Okay, yeah, they're the same. So that calls us to this new look. This is the EndNote. 11th version is a demo version. Before I close, I'll magnify this one for you first. I'm not going, as I said, I'm not going through the details, but as you see on the left-hand side, you see there are customization. And that is, even if I got 3,500 references under under this folder, under this library, I can still reclassify them into subfolders. Okay? The subfolders can be into groups like portfolio or assessment. I can have other subfolders under the main library. So at the moment, I'm not going to do that part. I just want to close this one so that I have a full view. Now, the beauty of this version, or the last two versions, is that it shows not just the author, the year, the title. You got more things to be shown here. You can see the name of the journal, the type, the reference type, and the links. And when I'm going back to the far left, there's two things which is very useful if you have more than just a PDF file. At the moment, you can attach any figures, well, one figures for every reference, but you can attach up to 10 links or 10 articles to the same reference. So imagine you got the PDF files of this reference, you got your paper, your draft paper. You might also attend a conference and do a presentation on this topic. Everything can be all grouped together. So it's part of the organizing for you as well. So if you think about not just as a reference tool, it helps you to collect all this information into one place. Many things. Okay, remember I have downloaded a file in my PC. It's in my desktop. It's into different place again. So if I want to organize this with the EndNote, what I do is easy. Drag it, drop it. Just like that. Okay? So it means that you don't need to log onto the internet, search the paper, and look for it again. The next time you read the article, it's there in your organizer. Once you drag it in, they have another folder to keep all this folder in the EndNote. So now you can just, as she said, delete it. Okay, because you don't need to be into different places. You just delete it. Now let me show you all the references that I have first. Now don't not be shocked. I only got 502 references there only. But the thing is, these are the collection that I have over the years, okay, under this category. And the thing is, since I searched through the library, you have things from different years. You can sort them out. Or you can also go straight to a page where they got the URL access. Now, it means that if you just click, that's the link. Let's open the link. This is the reference with the link. If I click there, it will bring me back to the page where it shows this page, I mean the information of these links. So on one hand, you have the PDF file. You got all this referencing information in. But at the same time, if there is a link information about this article, it gets you there. Isn't it wonderful? I really like it, honestly. And it saves your time to search through the internet again. Bring us back to the reference. Now, any question in terms of importing a reference from the library to EndNote? In the older features that you can't do all these links. In the earlier version, you might put in a figures. You can attach an image, but not all these sort of. You can't attach more than one file. It's only one file in one reference. Now you can have 10 additional files with figures and the links. The links are there. You can still access the links, but in the display, they might just show you, okay, the author, the year, the title. I think they only got 5 categories that you can display. Now you got 8 categories. You got more categories to look at the same time. So that's the newer features of this. And actually, if you are using Chinese, Mandarin, no, not Mandarin, Korean, Japanese, if you use other language, now you can still save it to the EndNote. It means there is a unique code to read any other language other than English. You can call up the referencing style from the system. The question is whether you have the information in. When I said the information in, let's look at one of the references. You got the year, you got the title, all these informations are in the system. So it's whatever style, the output style you choose. You can choose the fourth version or Harvard version, any other version. What it means is it's the information that you have in your database. You can choose any output style. So what it means is that if, say, for one conference, you're required to do a certain style, and then in other book journals, you're required to do another, you just change the output style, and the software will do it for you. And now, I'm not going to, as I said, I'm not going into details about all these little clicks. But I want to share one very, very important information is when you do your writing. What's that to you? Okay. I'm calling up my word. The word that I'm working on, I start my writing. As you know, actually, this is the folder that collects my work. It includes the notes that I've read and also the paper. Okay. I'll call up one of the papers that I'm writing and share with you what do you do when you write and cite. Now I'm going to do is compare the two ways of citation. Well, first I'll do the demonstration to use the RefWorks, and then the second stage I'll show you how you use it with the EndNote. There are slightly differences, and watch out which one you prefer, because at the end, the import processes is quite similar, quite straightforward, isn't it? Just click of choose which ways you want to import in. But it's the way how you use it to do your write and cite that makes a difference. When you have installed a program where it will help you to write and cite, you have that little icon for RefWorks. Once you install the program, you see that little icon once you open your Word. Okay? I'm not going through the step how you install it, just 2 clicks, right? Okay, once I have this installed in Word, and here I'm doing it as a purpose of demonstration, and that I also have the EndNote in there as well. But you can choose either or. You don't have to have both, all right? So I'll try to work with the write and cite first, the RefWorks first. I'll scroll down, and I'll show you 3 typical references. One, the reference is by the end of a sentence. Common, right? Most common. But sometimes you might have references which is in the middle of a sentence or at the beginning of the sentence, which is also common, right? And the third type is not just the reference, because you're doing a direct quote. You're putting the quotation plus the page number. Now, these are I call those a more common way of citation. And you have to watch out what you do with the software, because I learned a hard lesson. The hard lesson is that I didn't know the trick, and I waste a lot of time, because after I do it through the bibliography, the software, and I lost all this page number. And whatever I did, they have the way how it's cited is almost exactly the way as by the end of a sentence, which I don't want to. Okay, so you need to pay much attention in this part. It will be very useful to you. Okay, let me go to the most typical one. Now I marked it because, well, what's the point? You have the information there. Why do you need to import use the system? At the bottom, it's a blank page. I add the introduction, the main body, I put in some references in, and the conclusion. But I haven't got the proper citation output at the bottom, okay? So I don't want to waste my time typing all this information in. It's all in the database. I need to work with the software. Now, what I do is, I will call up the RefWorks and tell the RefWorks I want to import the citation into the Word. And again, you need to type in your username and password. Now you can notice when I'm calling up the write and cite, this is the Word file that I'm working on. You can see the title. But at the same time, you can see it calls up all the references that I have. Now, I just want to add, I'll pull it down a little bit. I just want to insert Lin 1999. So, because I have 500 references, I just type Lin in the search RefWorks. It will search through all these thousands of references in and call up the file. This time, that's the files I want to insert. And here's the word site. So I just need to click it. Now, once I click it, you can see there's an additional information next to in the word. You didn't type anything. It's just the word done by the RefWorks. And one thing you can also notice with the RefWork, there's a little up right corner that's called Edit Citation. Since this is the most typical citation, that is by the end of a sentence, I don't need to do anything. I think this is okay, just keep it there. Right, let me move on to the second citation. The second one, which I want to have the name, but then a bracket with the year. Okay, I just insert as what I have been doing. I'll call this up, and this time I search the second author. Okay, as you can see, I got the second author, the names are there, and I just need to cite. Now, it's like a magic. Something's done for you. But this time, we need to do a little bit more. We need to go to the edit citation, because we don't want to show the name and the year with the brackets. We just want to have the name, the bracket with the year. So what it means is that I need to do this editing, the edit citation through the network, and once you click it, it calls up another things. This is a page which you, as a preview, originally, if we done nothing, the bracket will be the name, the year, or the author, the year will be within the bracket. So what will I do? Now I want the bracket within the year only. What it means is that I don't want the author to be there. So what I want to is just to check a box, suppress the author. Means the author will not be within the brackets. And make sure we save it to Word. Okay, not just in the internet, but to the Word file that you're working on. Right, let me do, now you see there's a difference between the previous site. Now you got a /a, means suppress of author. Right, all right. Now let's go down to the third one. You have to remember this, because otherwise you'll regret for the rest of your life. Because you won't remember which page you've read. And this one, okay, this Sean 1983. I'll call up the application, and this time I just type in Sean, I say Joanne, I search and go. Okay, I got two books from different author, Sean, but then this is the one, 1983, and I'm citing it. Okay, let me move down this cursor. You see Sean there, and that's at the end of a sentence. But this time, you want to put the page number. Means we need to do some site editing. So we have to go back to the edit citation page. Okay, there we go. Now this time, you can preview this Sean 1983, but there's no page number. So what I want to do now is to add after the text. Instead of going through the specific page, I'm not using it because this was other type of output style. So I just put the text after the author. So I'll put page 16. As you can see, you can preview this. There is no gap there. So what I need to do is I need to go back, give a space. There you go. You got year and page number there. You can preview this, right? Now, you save to the Word. Right, you've done all the magic that you need to do. And the last thing is the formatting, because you tell the Word file what sort of things you need to change now. It's ready to compile. So back to the system where you got the bibliography, and that's the page, that's the corner which you format the style. At this page, you are informing the system that this is the file that you're working on, and this is the output style that you want to have, the APA, the 5th version, and that's the right version, and I want to create a bibliography for this file. And it will tell you whether there's any error. So once it's done, let me get back to this file. Right, let's scroll down and see what it looks like. See, it's there. Now, the green thing are the one that I just highlighted to show you. So that's at the end of a sentence with the citation. The next one, remember I suppressed the author, so the brackets just go with the year, and you still got the author name in the front, okay? But it means that you have to type it yourself. The third one, this is the one with the author, the year, and the page number. Done beautifully, right? And let's move down. I'll scroll down to the bottom of this. Bingo! Before we go, those are the 3 references. Just the 3 references we inserted in. Imagine you got 55 references. Okay. So it's not uncommon. If you have a short conference paper, it might be 10, 20, or 30, no more than 30, 20-something references. But if you have your thesis, you got 300-something references to do. So you have to go through all this step. Before I close this file, I'm showing you that's the new file name. Can you see the difference? What's the new file name? Final. Okay, now, once you set final, it's final at this stage. But somehow, you just go to the library and search. I got another reference. I want to put more reference in. Okay, you're not happy. You still got some good reference in. But this, the RefWorks, you have to remember, this is the so-called the upgrade, the latest version, the final version. So if you want to make any change, you need to work on the master file. This is my master file. See the name? The original file name. I just call it master. Right? And if you check, all these little notes were still in the master file. But when it's output or formatted, it will be in the new file. So if you want to read any more books, fine. You must work on the master file, and they have to regenerate a new file. But if you use the same file name, it will ask you, are you sure this is a file name you want to work on? It's kind of confusing. You got all this called final, but they are not the same final version, okay? So you have to be very clear how you name this file when you work with RefWorks. Now, you know you need to work on more, you need to add on more, but you need to go back to the master file to add new references and going through the same step of formatting. That's RefWorks, all right? Should we look at EndNotes? A different step, or slightly different, but similar process, but with a different result. I'll call up the same file with a different name. Now, this is the file that I just highlight. This is the place that we want to use EndNote to do it. So there's a clean file that you need to work on. With EndNote, there are a few symbols or icons we need to know. Here, this is the first one we need to know. Simple. An arrow means you want to insert the citations in. The second one is the formatting, putting all the references at the bottom. And then the third one, with a pencil, means you need to do editing. Now, this one has a slightly different steps with the RefWorks. This one, I can just focus first, is to insert any references in. I don't need to think about editing, okay? Don't think about editing. Just insert any references in. Okay, I'll do a similar work. This is the place I want to edit in, and I call up EndNote. this time, because I know the author, I just type Lynn, L-Y-N-N. So you can see the reference is there. Because I know the author, under the author, I just type, it just search right there for me. So this is the reference I want to insert. And I get back to my Word file, not the final version, the original version here. And this time I click Insert. Boom, it's there. You see, there's some kind of code insert. Okay, let me move down with the second one. And this time, I need to type the author name, which is Naum, N-A-U-M. So this is the one. And I just switch between Word and the application. Okay, I'll get back to the Word. Okay, now I need to insert. Boom, done. Okay, the third one. Get back to EndNote, and with the authors there, I type in Sean. So that's the one. That's the one I want to insert. So I get back to the Word file, and then click Insert. So, assuming that I insert all the references in, as all the steps I have required, the second step, I'm doing the formatting. So that's the icon that I need to click. I want to format this Word file. I want to output in the APA 5th version or other versions, whatever. And yes, I want to do the formatting now. Okay, now let's see what the difference. First, it looks exactly the same. We got the reference there, the first one. The second one, we still got the bracket there because we didn't do any editing. And the third one, without the page number, because I didn't tell the system to do anything. And let me scroll down to see the bottom and whether the references are there. Yeah, it's there in Harvard style. I don't need to change anything. It's already in a different style. So what I need to do is go back to the page, to the place where I need to do the editing. So instead of going through the editing through the software, now this is the place I want to change. Putting the bracket just with the year only. Now I just right-click, or if I just move my mouse there, I click. You see, this is highlighted. Means that has been referenced, but with the style. Now I want to change. Which icon? The one with the pencil. We are using pencil to work. Okay. Now you can see this is the one that I want to suppress the author, right? That's the author. And now I want to exclude the author. Just check it. And then I click OK. I don't want to show the author. And actually, a different way of coding is insert already. We don't need to do anything. Okay, let me move on to the next one. The next one is the one that I want to add the page. Again, once I click it, it means that's the one I want to edit. Sorry, let's go back to the pencil, back to the basic. And this one, this time, I want to add the page number. What's the page number? 16, yes. Radio. See? All these quotes have been added in. Okay, and then the output style, that's the output style problem. So when I edit it, let me get back to the APA. See? Because Harvard does not use that style. That's why even though I thought it works, it should work. Because I was exporting as a Harvard style, and the Harvard style is not the style to do it like this. So, but with the APA, that's required. This is the proper way of citing with APA with the page number there, so it will appear. So it means that you don't need to worry. For example, this one, you're working with the APA, you got the page number in. Whereas where you're presenting or using the same reference with the Harvard style, it just suppress it. You don't need to work on that. It will just suppress with the right format, with the right output style. So, isn't it good? Anyway, so I'll show you the differences between the use of RefWorks for referencing and citation. Now, I want you to spend the next 5 minutes to talk between your group. If not all of you have RefWorks or EndNote. Some of you knew about RefWorks and some of you using EndNote. But I want you to spend the next few minutes, write down what's the advantage or disadvantage if you use either of this software for your own citation. Don't go. Okay, now you might have some ideas about the differences between the two F software. But one thing I need to share with you as well, and that is EndNote doesn't just work with your own PC. The latest version literally have an EndNote web. What's that for? Now, if you're working by yourself, if you got your own computer, you don't really need to, well, you might not need to use this feature. But if you're working from home, at the office, and you want to update your references, you only got one computer, are you going to bring your computer back home and office, and do you bring your own computer backward and forward? No. You want to work with two computers, right? But how do you update your references? I got one version in my office and one version in my home. Chaotic, frustrating. So what you can do now with the latest version is that you can synchronize it. So whatever you've done, you can easily, from your own PC, and transfer all your references to the web, the database on the web. So it means when you're working from home, first you can call up what's in the web, and then add changes. So it means that you don't need to bring your computer back and forward between home and office. You can work at different places, but once you finish working and updating your references, you transfer all this file back to the internet so that you can have the full version in the internet. Or even if you have some corruption with your PC, you still got a backup version there. So I think in the last few minutes, you might talk about some of the advantage with different ways, but you choose whatever way that best suits you. And some people, if they're working with a team, people who are working with a project team, people might work at their own time looking at references, and they all can upload all these references on the web. So the web has an advantage if you want to work with a team. The other thing is, for the web, it allows you to synchronize your work there as well so that you have a backup file. But that's the advantage of EndNote. But with RefWorks, everything is in the internet. You are in the hands, in the mercy of the server, whether it works, whether it updates or back up all your files. So you need to make sure that you keep track of all your work, make sure you want to check your references, and make sure you check the references afterwards, and make sure you back up all your work. Backup can be in the web, backup can be in a PC, backup can be in an external external hard disk. You need to have multiple backups to ensure your work will not be lost. As I said, I'm going to send you the soft copy of this PowerPoint. Means it will give you all these links to you. I didn't show all the steps required, both for RefWorks and EndNote, but they have very solid sort of online step-by-step guide for you. It's not just a Word file. It's literally the step to show you where to click, what to see. So you can go to the online and check the RefWorks tutorial, and you can also check the online tutorial with the EndNotes as well. So no worry that miss out any steps. And one of the reference that I got from University of Queensland, and they have shown you the step-by-step on how to do the editing part, which is very important to us. So don't worry about that. You can see it here very clearly. And one final link that you might use it or not use it is from the ELC, English Language Center. There is a page where students can type in, they have to type in the author, the year, all this publisher information there, and this site will generate the appropriate style for you. Okay, This does not, it didn't do with the import or export function, but you have to type in all this information yourself, but it will generate the style that you can copy and paste. But if you choose EndNote or RefWorks, you don't need to go to that page. But anyway, thanks for all your time. I mean, if you want to ask any question, you can email me. I can work with you or with your team.